Rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will be having our public hearing for the liquor license application for the hub. Is there anybody here to speak in opposition or in favor of the liquor license hub? Anybody in opposition? Jared or Michelle, would you like to speak?
Okay. Monty, I'm guessing these, yes.
Yeah, we all have that.
You do have it, okay.
Yep.
This as well. Okay, no, I'm not gonna read through this, because I timed it out, it takes like 12 minutes. But, my name is Jared Keeler, the CEO of the Hub Convenience Stores. 3 stores, Dickinson, Hazen, and Beulah. And we're gonna be undergoing a renovation that we hope to start in November of this year to expand our store, expand our offerings that we have at the store, including a pretty extensive food service program. But we would like the opportunity to sell off-sale beer, wine, and liquor. We know that the topic, especially of a convenience store selling these type of products, is a little bit polarizing, and I certainly understand all sides of it. From our standpoint, being a responsible retailer is something that we take very, very seriously. We have a pretty extensive training program for our cashiers, involving online training, in-person training, and then we also have a policy that they sign to adhere to, that if they fail a age verification transaction, they are subject to termination as well. So we do take it pretty seriously. We talk about it constantly, and we make our team members undergo that training year after year after year. We want to add about a 750 square foot area for off sale, including our refrigerated walk-in area. This isn't required by the city of Hazen, but we will, should we get access to a license, we would make the whole area age restricted. I'm even looking to technology on, you have to swipe a valid ID for the door to even give you access into the area, just so we don't have to worry less, I guess, about underage people entering that area. So again, a small area, we believe that it would make our business better. 60% of the beer in this country is sold in convenience stores. Not as widespread in North Dakota, but 81% of all convenience stores in the country do sell beer, and we're just looking for that opportunity. So I gave my written testimony, included a few pictures, a floor plan of what we're hoping to do, also some information on the prevalence of beer in convenience stores across the country. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any, but again, I would ask that you consider our application.
Jared, do you guys sell beer in your Dickinson location, or?
We do not. We attempted to get a license, but in Dickinson, unlike most cities, there is no difference between an on-sale and an off-sale license. They're the same license class. So one did open up as the population expanded. A bid process was open. We participated in that. We bowed out once it hit over $200,000. It went to 446, and we wanted a small space, so it just wasn't worth it for us. We're looking to get an additional license class added in Dickinson, but we haven't had any luck so far. As a retailer in Minneapolis for my former company, all 8 of our stores were beer retailers.
Are you making the same motion over in Beulah?
No, not at this time anyway. With the remodel process, we want to do Hazen first. We want to get that one. We feel probably the best opportunity for us is right here in Hazen. Next year we intend on looking at Beulah, and there's a chance that we would look at the same process at that time.
And there's a liquor store right across the street.
There is.
So you said it was gonna be just beer and wine, or are you looking at all alcoholic?
Frankly, no decisions have been made. Obviously, we haven't even, this process is just getting started. I mean, if everything went our way, we would probably look at all three, beer, wine, and spirits. But at minimum, beer and wine would be our hope, and that's what we hope to do company-wide, is at least beer and wine.
I have had a few citizens approach me about this, and it's been a mix,
I can imagine.
the way that they approached me. One person said, just because it's a convenience store doesn't mean that we have to make alcohol that convenient for people. Which is just one glaring comment that was made.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand that, but like I said, 81% of all convenience stores in the country do sell beer. And so it is pretty common, just we just don't see it as often here in North Dakota. But again, I think the key is how responsible is that retailer? And that, like I said, that's something that we would take extremely seriously. Definitely want to age restrict the area, and in our industry, we sell tobacco, we sell lottery, to age restricted products. We card more people in our industry every day than TSA. So this is what we do.
Remind me, what is you have the 18 to sell it at the register and 21 to serve it?
My understanding is in the city of Hazen, you have to be 21 to sell it. So those are some logistical, things that we would have to overcome. We would probably, I mean, theoretically, obviously, we would theoretically limit the hours in which we sold. Wouldn't be till close anyway, because we just would.
Yeah, and you employ quite a few high school kids.
We certainly do. Yep. And so we would never put a high schooler be there on their own with that present in the store.
With the ability to get to it.
Right.
Somebody who's 21 will be the one to deal with it at all times.
So it's basically gonna be like you have now, one till, the tills up front, they go in there, get their alcoholic beverage from your alcohol place and bring it up front.
Correct, to the standard cash register
Okay.
area. And it would be in a different area with the remodel. But that's how it would work, unless, I mean, there are some communities in North Dakota that do require a cash register within the alcohol area. Again, we're amenable to any requirements that are written in the city ordinance.
And like it said in here, it will be heavily under surveillance.
Yeah, we do.
Cause that is my main concern, is policing this.
Yes.
Cause once you've got it in so many places, and a place such as this where there are a lot of kids working.
And that's why he was looking at technology to scan a license to be even allowed to
Well, which
open
works
the door.
as far as a kid, you walk in, get your alcohol, you bring it out, and you give it to a
The
kid.
doors open, the door,
And if
right.
there's kids at the register, they can check you out.
Yes.
I mean, it works as far as a kid,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Which you could apply
Which
that,
all-
you could apply that to any
which,
parking
yeah, you
lot
can
or
apply to
anywhere
all.
in any city.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely understand that. That's like we think about that too.
So Jared, this came to us on Friday.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've had enough time to make a decision tonight.
Sure, I know we're just at a hearing standpoint, so
Absolutely.
I understand that.
So for the next meeting or the following meeting, I think we give us plenty of time to visit more
bet.
amongst ourselves.
And if you have any questions of me in the meantime, I'm happy to answer them. Like I said, I understand it's polarizing, and
Sure.
there's a lot of things to consider, so
Absolutely.
I totally get it.
I got a question. When Federer took over, the hub took over the business,
Mhm.
and you guys are looking at adding on, like beer and wine and other commodities. Do you feel that you have to have this beer and wine to raise your sales with adding other commodities to your remodel?
Getting into, I mean, it's kind of getting into our projected numbers and things like that, but I mean, a short answer would be yes. Obviously, there's extra costs going into if we were to add beer and wine, cooler, walls, age verification technology at the door. So that alone would need to generate its own ROI. I think it's more of what we want to be as a business. We want to be the ultimate in convenience. We want to be like 81% of the convenience stores across the country. So, do we need it? No. Is it something we would like to offer our consumers? Yes.
Do we get asked quite a bit by people from out of town, the guys that come in and work, and where's the beer? Well, we don't sell beer, you know, if there's a liquor store, up to the groceries, you know, we tell them where. But we do get asked a lot because other states, of course.
Do you guys still plan on having the subway, or what's the, or that might be?
Yeah, I mean, short, yeah, we hope to retain them. There's a lot of moving parts there, but yes.
Any other questions for Jared or Michelle? Okay, then, we need to table this then, correct? Or do we just? Okay, all right. So at this time, then we'll close the public hearing for the liquor license request application, and we will stay in contact with you guys next month.
Thank you so much for the time.
Okay. Okay. The agenda is long, so if you want to stay, you sure can.
I got inventory to count. So.
All right.
Anybody wants to join me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Have a good night.
Okay, so now we'll call the meeting to order for our regular meeting. And you all have the minutes from the previous meeting. I need a motion for approval of those minutes.
Motion to approve and suspend the meeting.
Okay. A motion by Wolf, second by Hack. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or subtractions or changes? No?
A motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Pillar. Second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor of the agenda, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, so 5A, 2018 street project construction update, pay estimate number 1. Who wants to come forward?
We're gonna end up handling a couple of other items besides just this. Obviously, we've got the pay estimate, you've got copies of all of that, I'm assuming everybody else does as well. Before we get started on that, I just want to take the opportunity to update the entire council on a couple of changes we've had with more engineering. We've got a new project manager. Mark has left to go to Atlanta. And so we've got Jared here, who's going to be taking over for Mark as project manager for this. And I think he just wanted to say hi himself. So
we didn't intend to make any changes, but you guys have all met Mark. Mark talks with a southern accent. He was from Florida originally. And he made some quick decisions and relocated him and his family back. We moved to Atlanta, be closer to family. So I think a few of you probably knew that, maybe everybody didn't. We didn't intend to make any changes on you guys, but I guess I'm a senior. My name is Jared Clabundi. I grew up in Garrison, North Dakota. I'm in the same position as Mark. I'm a senior project manager with Moore. Been with Moore for 12 years. Most of my career I've done city and municipal type stuff with a side of transportation engineering. Most recently, lived in Fargo for 12 years. Been the city engineer for Oaks, North Dakota, which is a community of about 1,900 people for about the last 9 years in southeast North Dakota. So this type of work is very familiar to me. We're not making any changes. The project team, the engineers, the field people, it's all the same. More engineering. Minot, Bismarck, Fargo, St. Cloud, Fergus Falls. We've got 180 people across 2 states. So we have the resources to finish the project, and I think you'll be happy with this. So any questions for me? Otherwise, I'm just going to let the construction guys go through the construction of the project, and I'll plan to see you a couple times a month and get to know everybody a little better.
We did get to meet Jared last week and had a longer conversation than this about the change, and welcome. Good
Thank you.
luck.
Thank you, yeah, appreciate it. Sure we'll get to know each other better.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, thanks everybody.
So Luke, do you want to talk more about your items, or should we just start with?
Well, we're gonna kind of tag team this just a little bit. Since that's what's on the agenda, the first thing is the contract pay app. While I'm going through that real quickly, Josh has got some stuff to hand out that we'll talk about in just a moment. So the contractor's pay app is for $119,352.60. It's pretty much just some very preliminary items. I think everybody's got a copy of this. In the back, it details out how much of which particular items are actually have been built to this point.
The biggest ticket item on that, I'll notice, is mobilization. It's 93,000 of it, so that's the biggest chunk of the.
So at this point, this is where we're at. This is the first pay estimate. The next one will probably have at least another digit in it. So I would fully expect it'll be $1 million pay estimate next month. Probably more, because they're making fairly decent progress so far, for the most part. So this is just the front end of it, this first one of probably several. Obviously, we need a motion to approve that pay estimate.
So let's deal with that right away. Well, it's in front of our list. So everybody has that. Was there any questions on that first pay estimate? Like I mentioned, most of it is mold. There's no questions on that. Entertained motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Larry,
Second.
second by Pillar. Discussion. Roll call.
Wolf.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Stern. Aye. Hack.
I,
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried.
Monty, was there some, I understand there's some paperwork that you're gonna need to have us sign for the reimbursement on that? Yes.
The Bank of North Dakota requisition for costs up to this point, including pay estimate number one. And then our request to Bank of North Dakota will be for $565,997.26. And again, we'll need a motion, the engineers, I provided the information. to the
Did that
engineers.
include the invoice that you guys sent? Okay, so let's go ahead and deal with that. So then the second item that we have here is an invoice for Moore Engineering for $22,989.35. That brings us up, I believe we had previously billed all the way through 100% of the design and bidding. So now we've got the first little bit of the construction contract admin. That's about 14% of our total is what we're billing for. At this time on that particular item, again, we're just getting started, just like the construction, so phase one on that, so we might as well approve that and then approve the.
What do we call that, Monty, the B&D reimbursement?
No, this will be actually the invoice for.
This is
Moore.
our invoice.
Okay, more invoice.
Is there any questions on our invoice?
Does everybody see that? Not seen it yet? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, no questions?
motion approved.
Okay, motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
I,
Wolf,
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
Now I could be on the Bank of North
Now
Dakota.
it's the B&D reimbursement. Okay. And where am I seeing that?
5D.
5A3.
Yeah, 5A3, excuse me. That's the next one.
Okay, so the V and D reimbursement of $583,000.
565,
565,
997.
997,
997.
126.
Questions for Luke? So we be having the V and D reimbursement during every pay estimate period, or?
It's the intention, once we make a payment on it, we'll do the requisition.
Okay.
This is actually one of the slick things about this program, is that you don't have any temporary financing. There's no until it comes to the end. So it's really kind of nice the way this is a lot cleaner than a lot of other funding mechanisms we use.
Need a motion to approve the pay us or the V and D reimbursement.
So moved.
Motion by Pillar. Second. Second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, so with the bills taken care of, the next question we have on here is just a quick construction update of what we're doing at this point. We've got, obviously, we've got Kemper Construction, they're doing spot repairs. So far, the progress on that has been good. They're making good time on progress and not running into real serious problems. I think the worst thing is they had one particular main, we had the wrong size T for, and we managed to work that out with the city. So it's such a minor thing, it's always not even worth mentioning. So it's going really well. We're starting to get a little bit of information in the streets where they're doing the repairs, getting a better look at what's underneath them, what kind of condition the soils are in. And so far, I would say I'm very cautiously optimistic in what I'm seeing. They've been doing saw cutting, curb and gutter removals and replacements all around town. As far as the quantities are going on that, when we first started, we were getting a little concerned because the first few blocks that we did we were going over quantity, but we've since had some blocks that we've actually ended up kind of under quantity. So right now, we're tracking relatively close to what the planned quantities are on that. That brings up a question that I'd like to ask. We'll discuss in a little bit about how much adjustment to the way we're approaching things, how proactive do we want to be about if we do end up with areas where we start tracking a little bit ahead of what we had planned on doing after we look at the conditions we have right now. How much concern is there with those quantities fluctuating and potentially being a little bit higher? And also, do we want to be maybe a little more proactive in trying to fix some things that maybe we didn't originally think about fixing? The reason I asked that question is that when the last time we had this discussion was at a point well before we had the project bid and we were still working on estimates, some preliminary estimates. Now we've got the project bid. Right now the contingency reserve, I believe, is 11%, which is just a little over $500,000. But that doesn't even come close. And Monty, I think I'm trying to remember, we still have, even with that, I think we were figuring we were going to need about 5, 6, or 7 million total. I don't have that number right.
Closer to 7.
It was about, yeah, it was just about 7 million, but I believe you guys had like 9.5, almost 10 million that you had reserved with Bank of North Dakota. It's just simply the question, do you want us to look at doing a little bit more than maybe what we had planned originally? We do have some things that the city specifically requested. We'll deal with those, but just something to think about. We'll have that discussion in a few minutes.
No, I don't wanna spend $9 million. They don't wanna spend their $9 million. I think we need to be very cautious going forward with that, Luke. Obviously, we know that, I've been out with John in the field, he's showed me some stuff, it's like, you know what, and some of the stuff is a no-brainer, but.
Right.
And we also can't, when we have 15 items brought up, we can't wait every 2 weeks for this meeting to go through like this and approve either, but, because some things need to be dealt on site and sometimes the same day. But, you know, I think that between Dave and Jason and myself and Monty or Casey and Nancy, it doesn't matter, but we need to get a couple of heads together at least to approve things and.
If we have, and all I'm asking is for a little bit of a feeling of what the tolerance level for adjustment is. As an example, there's one spot where we have a curb ramp that we're putting in, but we're matching up to some sidewalk that's pretty busted up. But it's there, the entire sidewalk on that entire property is that way. Little decisions like, do we go ahead and replace just a couple of squares at the landing, or do we just leave what's there? Very small dollar, very small financial impacts, that we're just trying to get an understanding and what your threshold is, if you will, for how much adjustment that we can just go ahead and make and be comfortable that we're not gonna get ourselves into
Absolutely.
into
And like
problems,
that,
as opposed to coming in here every 2 weeks with a laundry list like this, as you mentioned.
And, you know, we do have our weekly construction meeting, every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and anybody can come to that.
And we rely on those to be able to get a feeling for what.
But like that curb and sidewalk issue, to me, that's a common sense thing and a no-brainer that at minimum, we do a couple pads right beside the new handicap ramp there. But, yeah, and not do the whole sidewalk.
Right.
But.
Right.
It's
a question of when do we quit?
It's just like my own yard, you know, yeah, let's do this part, but, we tear into this wall and we gotta do this one too. You know, it's, where do you just pull back the reins and say no? But.
Right, exactly. And so far, like I said, we started to get a little concerned right at first because the first several blocks that we did happened to be ones that we ended up going over what our planned quantity was. Since that initial couple of days, it's evened itself back out. So we were just looking at them today, and even John was like, geez, I didn't realize we were actually fairly close to being on target here so far.
Yeah. But I don't know how many projects we've individually been through or as a group that it never at the end balances out to kind of where never. It's gonna be over.
All we're looking for is an understanding as best we can of what your tolerance level of those fluctuations, those changes.
And hopefully it's at 11%, you know, hopefully we don't go that.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not concerned that we're talking about that drastic changes. We're talking about with, like, for example, the curb and gutter and the mud jacking, I think we're talking about 1/10 of that is the fluctuation that we might be looking at.
Sure.
So, all right.
What are you guys' thoughts? I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody.
I'm in agreement. I think if you guys discuss it at these weekly construction meetings and give some flavor there, that'll be useful. But if you just give a blank check, then it can get out of hand. So there's gonna be some things where we're gonna have to make some tough decisions and just say enough's enough there.
We'll continue to kind of take the common sense approach on stuff, and then on things that are great, bring it to your attention as we've been doing.
And we've had great communication with John. You know, he's called me and come pick me up. Hey, come with me. I want to show you something. You know, that is way better than we just thought we had to do this and we did it. You know, that's where it's gonna be a long damn summer.
All of the decisions are ultimately yours.
Yeah, right.
Our job is to bring them to your attention so you can make decisions.
Yeah. Because we already have a couple extra things where.
So with that, actually, we're going to go ahead and jump into this, I think. Josh, you want to go through each of these individually?
Yeah. So I don't know exactly when it was. I was actually out in the office when a lot of these came up a month or so ago. guy of ours came out, kind of looked at them, we started putting together some numbers. He met with city staff member, I don't know who it was exactly, but jump into it. So the first location it's a manhole in the parking lot of the apartment building just west of Rough Rider Electric. Below at the bottom of the first page there, you can see some pictures. Basically, from what we can tell, when the parking lot was built, they raised the grade about 3 feet or so there. And to do that, they just took some construction concrete blocks and stacked them on top of the manhole, and it's failing. You can see the concrete pavement is settling from soils eroding in and whatnot. So what we were, proposing, for a solution there is basically pull up the concrete, pull off the top section of the manhole, put a new manhole section it's about a 30-inch tall manhole section on, set the cone section back on, basically pour the concrete back in. Estimated cost on that was about $6,000. I have in the back here, just so you know, there's a kind of a tabulation of where the estimated dollar amounts came from.
I got a question on that. What drove you guys into that parking lot of the apartments? Just
Water
something-
sewer staff,
Or sewers?
water sewer staff.
Okay, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Were you thinking this might be the property owner's issue, or?
Yeah, I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if it's water and sewer, then it's obvious.
Cost will still go back to the property.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
So the next location nearby there, just south of Rough Rider Electric, there is basically a drainage crossing of the sidewalk. Basically beyond the sidewalk, it started to erode and it's kind of undermining underneath the drain there. The extra drawing that I gave you guys separate there is basically what we proposed doing, basically repouring that drain back in and extending a valley gutter 15 feet or so beyond it to let the water spread out a little bit and prevent some of that heavy discharge kind of hitting that soil hard and eroding it.
Well, and you can see by the image there, that concrete pad to the left of that, or to the east, that sidewalk is destroyed right there. Is that a chunk we want to take care of right away, or?
And on that, I kind of took note of that. There's 3 panels each side of that are kind of that same condition. I didn't include that cost in this estimate, but it would be, hard to say, throwing a number at it, probably a couple $100, probably.
200, okay, I'm writing that down, $200.
So it'd be 1,200, 1,500 extra bucks, I'm sure, something like that.
Because ultimately, you can just see that it's going to become a tripping hazard, and why wouldn't you just keep that beside a new construction?
And the other thing we did there was it was requested that we keep that grate there, that we reuse it. There are some kind of real heavy duty ones. They get pretty expensive. So maybe it's something if you wanted to replace that, you could have someone in town fabricate something that'll work. But a lot of those grates like that, they're so heavy duty and they're made for heavy equipment driving over them. It'd be probably a $2,000 deal, just say, or two. So
Can we use existing?
you could. It's you may need a little welding or something on some of the support pieces of it. So the third location is the north driveway entrance to the hospital. Looking at the pictures, you can kind of tell it doesn't appear they had the best foresight on what they were doing there. didn't really pour, there should have been more of a valley gutter poured there. So basically what we were thinking is pull out the first 6 feet or so of that apron, reform it, and then there'll be some asphalt patch in there because when they poured that in, they didn't really form it up and patch in asphalt, they just kind of poured it against the broken up existing asphalt, so.
And that'll go right back to the hospital, paying for that. That is bad.
Yeah. And that one is about $4,700 estimated cost. The fourth location is a resident up on 5th Street Northwest, right now near 4th Avenue. He has had some issues with his sewer backing up continually. The service line was, what he told us was lined about 9 years ago. Right at the main, it seems like it's kind of twisted and preventing flow from going through. So basically the repair would be, it'd be similar to a lot of some of the spot repairs we're doing in town. Estimated cost on that, removals of the asphalt, patching it back in, about $4,700.
How did it look from the house?
From the house to this spot, it was perfect, or as good as you could ever imagine.
So it is twisted right where it goes in.
It's pretty much right where it kind of dives down into the main.
Do you have any idea how much it constricts down to at the end of it?
It's probably
It's
that's
really
that's what it
bad.
looks like, about that
Wow.
big.
It's no wonder it's backing up.
Yeah.
Have you, has anybody talked to that homeowner yet to let him know?
Yes.
Okay.
He was in this morning.
He was, saying he's aware. Okay. So,
He was gonna visit with an independent contractor to see what their cost would be.
good luck being cheaper than that.
So is that our, that would be ours or,
No, it's,
okay, gotcha,
right, yeah,
okay.
it's cost.
So the next one is manhole lid about a block east of there. Sounded like that, the lid kind of continually pops up. Looks like the casting just kind of wore out. It looks like it has a bit of a crack in it from traffic running over it. So basically pull out the concrete around it, pull off the casting, new casting, pour concrete back in. Estimated cost about $1,500 there.
We got welding shop working on that one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That one's,
Okay.
We cross that one off.
The next location is just behind City Hall here. There was a section of corroded steel pipe, about a 20-foot long section that was not included on the plans. It's basically same thing as the other spot repairs throughout town. We estimated that one at about $6,300.
And this is one that we wanted in the project, that Mark just, I think, overlooked, but
Yeah, we just dropped the ball on that.
it
It was
was,
one that you had mentioned way back, right?
and this is one of our main lines, and I don't, this, if this fails, we're in trouble. This has to be done without question.
The next one is just across the street from here. There's a storm sewer inlet. The pipe connection to it has kind of failed. The grouting, it's letting some soil erode in there, causing voids. The pavements have kind of settled and failed there. Basically, the plan here would basically just be go in there, get that sealed back up, and pull out broken up asphalt around it. Get all the areas that have the voids in it, get them filled in, and repave everything there, replace the pavements that have the soil going underneath them. $2,100 is where that one's estimated. The next one is just west of the school. We have a few different options here, so without doing a detailed analysis of all the drainage, basically it seems like it's just an inlet capacity type issue. The grade on it isn't the best, doesn't catch the most volumes, plus the it's called the hood on the back side of the inlet there, it has a fairly small opening. So there's a few different options that kind of came up with that provide more or less almost the same solution. First one would be to replace the inlet structures with larger structures, and you'd also get a little larger casting, about 25% bigger casting on it. Second option would be just to replace the casting and grades. There'd be some associated pavement removals, curb and gutter removals as well. And then third option would just be to go out there with a torch, cut that curb box open a little more and put a different grade on it. Be kind of a cheaper route, looking at about $7,900 for the first option, $3,800 for the second, and third option about $1,200.
Jerry, is this the one right by the handicap?
Yep, straight across, it's on the northwest
That's the
corner of
skate
that.
rink.
Yeah, and in the wintertime, John and I went over there today and looked at it, and that opening, literally from the grate to the bottom of that inlet, it's like an inch and 3/4, almost 2 inches. Yeah. And that's about a 95-year-old grade inlet. This wasn't built for any capacity. And this is a spot where when we get a heavy downpour, the water's over that curve.
I'm guessing it doesn't take much debris
No.
to flood that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's in the winter.
Our guys are shoveling that on every storm. That's a no. You know, and option number 2, I think, would take care of it quite fine, in my opinion, but I don't. Yeah. Okay.
Then, beyond that, there's the kind of breakdown. I did highlight a few items in there, which are items we don't have contract prices for. The rest of the items we did. These are estimated, unit prices, so we're gonna have a request into the contractor to get more firm numbers from them on those.
So when do you need a decision by us to, which ones of these two?
The most critical ones, I mean, obviously all of them are, and there's a timeline on all of them, but the first one, that one is gonna be a lead time because of manufacturing of the manhole section that needs to take place. The rest aren't necessarily as critical, but
Some of that curb and gutter work though, that's on the front end of the project. So
That's on the front of the project. The other piece though is also gonna be the pipe. Sanitary repairs, because that crew isn't gonna be here all that long.
Right.
halfway done with the repairs now, so.
And you're talking about our steel pipe that's corroded and the residential.
And residential, yes.
Is that
Now,
sort of
residential-
Kemper?
I'm sorry, go
Would
ahead.
that be Kemper doing those?
Yeah.
How
The
do we want-
residential one, you could, this is the part where I'm a little unclear, do you wanna do it under the contract and then just assess the property owner? Or do you want the property owner to hire a contractor to deal with it himself?
Sounds like he was looking to see which option works better for him. So we would just need to have a better understanding what our time frame is, if the project were to take that on, so that we could share with him how quickly he needs to be making phone calls and lining things up if he feels he can do it cheaper than what the project can.
I know he did approach Kemper to ask them for a price to do it.
Okay.
I don't know who else approached, but they mentioned that they talked to them, so. I'm not sure if those 3 items we mentioned are gonna be able to wait till the next council meeting in 2 weeks. They might be getting really close to being. And we have, like I said.
We will have an answer
First,
for
we
you.
need to order this right away.
Okay.
To have any chance of getting it done.
And then, board, do you want to just let me know or for the Thursday construction meeting, or?
I don't see anything that really raises my gander here.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that would be questionable would just be the residential. But I'd be prepared to make a motion that we move forward with the recommendations. We would have to select one of the options down there.
On number 8.
Number 8.
If the resident was ready, I would make the motion tonight. I've got my suggestion.
Yeah.
Already.
So I think let's attack all these except for the residential one. And then what are your thoughts on number 8 on those 3 options of $79, $38, and $1,200?
I'd be willing to do 38.
I think the 38 would work. Basic.
I'm just curious on those great, if we make it like larger, are we gonna just plug up the ceiling or?
So when John said that he looked at it and it had enough capacity in the
Okay,
underneath.
okay.
He said it is dirty and it should be jetted.
So talk to me a little bit to understand exactly, when you say replace the castings and the grade. The grade is pretty self-explanatory, but when you say replace the castings, what are you talking about? Are you talking about making a larger horizontal gap then for it to go in, or?
No, it would be the same size. It would just be the hood, like I was saying, the back portion of the casting there, it would be a higher opening. But we'd go with it, we wouldn't be able to set a big.
Yeah.
It would be going with the green and the gray.
Yeah,
We're
that's
saying
the
the same
whole, all the.
It'd probably be similar down here across the street. It'd be a taller gap on the
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that.
Yes. Okay, then I'd like some, if that's the case, someone put in a motion with the option on number 8.
I'll make the motion to proceed with, well, first, we're gonna leave out location number 4. I don't know what kind of a time window we want to give the resident. But I wanna leave that out. I wanna go with, and take out location number 5, because we're handling that currently with our local weld shop. And I wanna go with option number 2 on, 8, yes.
All right, we have a motion by Hack,
Get all that money?
And I'll second that.
second by Pillar. Discussion.
Jerry, do we give the resident a week?
I think a week is,
I think
I think
that's.
Monty, did he
I think-
give any indication?
He took Kemper's number and apparently he has contacted them already, so.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't make the decision a week, he's gonna do it on his own contractor. So that's- Is that, Luke, is that a week? Can we wait a week for the resident to make a decision if he wants
Oh, I
to
would
use
think
Kemper?
that would be fine, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Pillar, Stern,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried.
I have to leave your meeting, just some business cards of mine, so if anybody wants one.
Thank you. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you. You guys take them.
So yeah, we'll prepare a change order then for all of that stuff, pricing, then bring it to the construction meeting.
Okay,
Actually, maybe we should mention that. The contractor had requested one other item on that asphalt bike path. Right now, the way the contract is set up, they basically got a foot of restoration on either side. It was contemplated that they would take it out and put it back in without really impacting anything on either side. They're asking whether the city would be willing to consider paying for some seating so that they can drive next to the path and be able to work off of that area rather than limiting their impacts there. Their unit pricing for the restoration in that area is higher than it is for the rest of the contract by a fair amount, so I'm anticipating that they anticipated some difficulties with some of this as it is. What my initial reaction to them is that if we do allow them to go over there, we would only want to pay the base bid price for the restoration. And I think what was the number we came up with is about that another. I think it says if we're only paying for the seating, we don't strip that, we're only paying for seating, that the contract base bid amount allow them to do more seating. I think it ends up costing an additional, is it $2,400, $2,500 or so? Is it that much? About $5,600.
let me ask you this here though, when, in the bid spec itself, we pretty much called out what the directive was, and that's what they bid too.
That's what they did too.
And as you said, their bid price on that is higher than some of the others. So it makes me kind of feel like, okay, we know what we're getting ourselves into.
Right. The advantage, the benefit to the city to potentially allowing this is it's gonna allow them to work a lot faster, get the work done quicker. So, you know,
I don't know,
it's something we were planning on discussing it at the next construction meeting. I'm bringing it up to your attention now because
I'd be real curious how they thought they were gonna do it
I am
within the
too.
limitations.
I am too.
Yeah. And not considering the fact that they'd be driving adjacent to it.
We're gonna ask him to explain more at the next construction meeting.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up to bring it to your attention so you're aware of it.
Yeah, Jerry, my short answer on that one is no.
Can anybody else be at that meeting? Monty won't be, I will be at the construction meeting on Thursday. Can anybody else? Casey, can you do this? Okay,
What time is it?
1 o'clock.
That's all. I just want to make you aware of it.
Your short answer is no, my longer answer is no.
They bid it like, I'm with them.
Anything else, guys?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Good detail.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, that takes us down to 6A. Harvest Fest Parade Route.
We're just standing here. That's okay.
Come on up.
Dan's gotta get a picture of
I can turn around.
Justine, flip side.
September 8th. Is the good parade date at 4 o'clock out. And we were thinking of having the route come down where the proposed hotel would be. If they could park in there, including the horses and whatnot, and maybe across the street where Cenex has their storage facilities. And so the bad thing about it is, I'm not sure which road it is, the one going out to Krause's would be somewhat blocked off, but it's not a very long parade. We were asking if we could use that route, taking us down to Maine and not turning at, Monty, what's that road? Not Fourth, but the next one over.
Making that bend towards Cenex.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
taking
I'm for.
Second Street
Going up
Fourth.
Fourth and then
and
back
heading
up Fourth
back.
Street.
And then you
Oh, okay.
cross, St. Matthews, I believe, or just, and then and Chase Park and up and over. The reason is, we have a feeling that with cars, they can park on, or this road over here. I don't know my roads yet, I'm sorry. And there would be less traffic or less pedestrians to worry about. So we're just asking that you would consider that parade route, so.
Okay.
And if you would like to be our marshal, Mayor, that would be.
Oh, what would that entail?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You have to do your parade,
Yeah.
even hand.
Candy.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing, we gotta make sure we coordinate well with, the project too, where we're gonna be doing chip seal,
What's the timing on this?
September 8th.
September 8th, yeah.
It's not working that day.
End of the project is around the end of the September.
Should be in pretty good shape, I would think. We can certainly make a contract or whatever and have discussions about it. We'll know more as we get closer, but
Sure.
this is plenty of warning for them to try to get this route taken care of.
And it's a Saturday, it's, the contract will be in town.
I'm just thinking if they happen to have not paved, they milled but haven't paved one of these streets, that's where it could get a little.
And
We're
that's
also
just,
trying to avoid down by the Cenex middle school area because there's gonna be functions going on at all the schools and the preschool inflatables will be down there, so we're trying to avoid a lot.
And the wiener dog races, we can't forget that. So, it's gonna be a busy time.
And also, we're going to put the roadblocks to set up.
well, that I would have you guys coordinate with Dave and, Dave Russo, and then with, Officer Wolf.
Okay.
But, that's not that big a deal, I think we can accommodate that, so. It's only gonna be for about 3-4 hours in the morning.
So the difference from what we've done in the past is normally we went all the way kind of by Napa and then turned along there, or no?
We started down, setup was down where those new houses have been built, in the residential areas. We were trying to avoid the residential area for setup. And then it would go all the way down Main Street, that left hand, and then all the way to Senex.
Yeah.
And then kind of stopped at Senex, and people picked up and finished there,
But now you're only gonna go up to Fourth and then.
Fourth. We'll have the parade participants cut off at Fourth. And that way people are only set up along Main Street, they're not setting up to watch the parade
Even
down.
with,
So you're not talking about parading through the residential, that's just their
No,
return
just for them to
path.
get back to
Right.
their original,
Okay.
but just have people watching along Main.
Sounds good, I don't see any issues with that. We'll just, like, a couple weeks beforehand, let's just remind, visit Dave.
And we'd like to have the main section of Main with no parking, so we can block that off a little early so that people can set up, peek around cars, if that's okay.
I know where he is.
Yes, Jason?
That would be the only concern, how, you know, where the dike is going west, is having, you know, coordinating pretty highly with Frank Wolf. Cause yeah, you did go into the residential beforehand, I do remember that. That way you're not gonna have people trying to drive to and fro, you know?
Okay. So that we don't have to put early that morning, we have to get barricades up.
Well, the parade's scheduled for 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's true.
Set up maybe 3.
So the hard thing is getting cars off of Main Street then.
Yeah.
Because people will be, caffeine in the morning, blah, blah, blah.
Right. We were thinking it kind of coordinated with the end of the car show at Krause, so those cars could all join into the parade and head out.
I think you guys have to try and start blocking stuff off way earlier than noon time. I don't know.
That's for them to worry about.
Yeah. You know me, we'll get it
Yeah.
done. I got a great chair here from the parade,
Okay.
so yeah.
Well, good, I'm excited that we're doing it. It'll be great.
Okay, start thinking of your floats.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
I'll
Thank
look
you.
here.
Questions? No, good.
Nope. Thanks, guys.
It's all good, don't be worried.
Okay, 6B, dog at large leash ordinance. Sarah, are you here? Hi.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Been living in Hazen for about 5 years, moved here from California, and the last couple of years, there's been a really bad dog problem. Whereas people, to put it bluntly, we have a lot of lazy dog owners who just open their front door, let their dog go, and go back inside. And it's unfair to others who are responsible dog owners, because I can't sit in my front yard with my dogs without other dogs attacking, running up to us. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm not used to talking in front of people.
So you have some reported situations.
Lots.
Yeah,
And
and we have, I know Officer Wolf who talked to me today and showed me the
The list is extensive of the amount of things that I've called, and I don't want to call the police over it, but if my dog is ending up a bloody mess, I'm ending up bloody, trying to, and I'm being responsible, it's frustrating on my behalf. And it's been happening for a long time, and now there's a couple new dogs that it's happening, and I posted to the Beulah Hazen Classifieds Facebook page, and within an hour, I had over 100 comments of people who agreed that it's all over the city, and there's no enforcement. And I printed off the Hazen page that there's supposed to be, fines, the dog's supposed to be impounded. The one person that I had the most incidents with, they essentially, based on what the city ordinances say, they should have actually done time for the amount of times that their dog was picked up and put it back in the house. And to not have seen any of that is frustrating on my behalf. And now with my 180-pound dog, a Chihuahua starts running up to us. If my 180-pound dog bites that Chihuahua, I'm responsible. I look like the bad guy because they aren't watching their pet. And I don't want to call the police anymore because I understand it's not an emergency, but there needs to be accountability for people to take care of their pets. And I'm at a loss of what to do anymore.
What part of town do you live in?
I live on Expansion, but according to all the people that commented, it's all over the city.
I don't think it matters where you live.
It's.
You talk to anybody who has a dog and they're responsible, there's someone in the neighborhood who's not responsible and taking care of their dog. And it's not only dogs that are in danger. If I don't know your dog and it's loose and it runs up to me, I am not a dog person. I'm scared it's gonna bite me.
Well, I'm actually in a situation just recently where some kids were letting their dog run and I said something to them. And they didn't like that I had said something to them, so now I caught them throwing rocks at my dog in the backyard. And so now my dogs are thinking, they hurt me. If those kids put their hand in my fence, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna have to put my dog down because of what they're doing.
I don't know what the solution is though.
Well, the solution is enforcement.
Yeah, which is tough because they have to either be called and do you want to keep calling on your neighbor because you're trying to live amicably with them?
Oh, no, that's out the window. She moved.
Okay,
That one.
but there are, you know.
There's a lot of other ones on the street who
Yep.
they've gotten away with it for so long
Yep.
that they don't even think about it anymore. They just let their dog out to do whatever they
And
want.
we can't have our officers patrolling.
Well, and
Yeah.
they shouldn't be getting called constantly,
Yep.
hey, this person
I
is
don't-
doing it again, but once the enforcement starts going, hey, we're getting fines now, or, you know, big fines. Every time we do this, it's gonna get around, people are gonna take notice. They
Yeah.
need to take care of their pets.
Yeah.
I know, I've had a stray dog in my yard a time or two, and it was a friendly one, but I called the cops, saying, you know, take him home, and he knew right away who the dog belonged to, jumped in the back of the truck, he was like his buddy. And I mean, that's awesome, the cops all like dogs, but what is that teaching that homeowner, or that dog owner? That he doesn't have to take care of his
And
dog.
that's just it, and I'm not unreasonable, I understand that dogs get out, kids let dogs out, but when it's happening every single day, and I'm outside screaming bloody murder for someone to help me pull these dogs apart, and they're just sitting inside doing nothing, there's a problem, and they're also teaching their kids, it's okay to mistreat animals, it's okay to neglect your animals, it doesn't matter.
Do you have a comment?
I do. I can attest to what they're both saying. I used to live on Expansion Drive. Called the cops many, many times. They knew exactly whose dog it was, who was the aggressor dog. They would hold the dog until the owners came home. They asked us to keep the dog in our fence. In a sense, they were the reason we moved from Expansion. So, yeah, it goes back to enforcing what is on the books. If it's not being enforced, I know all the cops love dogs, which is, like you said, great.
You know, and they don't have to take the dog away, they don't have to.
No,
I don't want
But
dogs
fine
to
them.
be put down, just give them a fine.
They
Make
have to
them-
be
hold them
held
accountable
responsible for
their pets. If you're gonna own this pet, don't neglect it, don't abuse it. If you can't take care of this pet, you need to give it up.
Do we know what the fine is?
Oh, yeah, we
It
have,
starts at 25.
The first
Yeah,
offense.
25.
And not only where Expansion is, it's right up against Highway 200. It's a hazard. My neighbor's dog did get hit on Highway 200. Cars are not gonna stop, those trucks cannot stop, so it's a hazard up there.
Second is 50 and everything after is 100.
Okay.
well, you know, our cops try to be nice guys, and that's the bottom line. They, you know, they don't wanna be the bad guy, 'cause that's,
But they're making us as neighbors
Yep.
become the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it started, things
Sure.
with one neighbor, it ended up becoming a really hostile living situation because they didn't agree with how I felt they were treating their pets. And
Sure.
it became a hostile living situation.
We'll have a visit with our police, the chief of police, sorry. And, we'll just have to make sure the enforcement is different.
I personally feel that we need to enforce and start planning.
Especially
But
the
I-
repeat
Sorry that's happened. but-
No,
and
honestly, like I said, I'm an understanding, I'm not irrational or you know what I'm aiming for here.
I have 2 dogs myself.
And if they
You
do
know,
have, things happen.
They do, but
But if
it's,
it's every day, I understand if you take your dog to the park and you're running around with them and you are taking care of them, that's different. But to just let your dog out the front door,
Yeah.
non-fenced area, doing whatever they want, that's wrong.
okay, absolutely. Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Thank you, I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
And absolutely, and it's not always easy to call and get a hold of the cops either, so you can always call City Hall too.
Okay.
But don't feel like you can't call because it's not an emergency. It's-
I could just tell after so many times, they would call me and say, okay, I'll be there in a little bit, and you feel bad taking away their time, but my hands are tied as a pet owner as well, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys, I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see, Girl Scout project, dog park. Jasmine Bush would like to meet with the commission to discuss creating a dog park for a Girl Scout project. Now, Jasmine told me last week, we talked about this. This is a great idea, and it's come up before, and I talked to Dan Fry, the Parks and Rec Director, and he said it came up a few years ago too. So, Jasmine, I'll let you take over. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jasmine Bush, and I'm a Girl Scout ambassador, and I would like to ask for the Civics Commission's help to start a project in our community to earn my Golden Award, which is the highest achievement in Girl Scouts. And the Golden Award project is kind of equivalent to an Eagle Scout project in Girl Scouts. So I'd really like to start a community dog park, and I believe this would benefit our community tremendously. Having a dog park would allow people to exercise their dogs in a safe and secure location. And I believe it could bring our community together while giving an opportunity to socialize. And socializing, as you can tell, is extremely important. And many dogs in our community are not properly socialized because there's nowhere for pet owners to meet and spend time with one another. So many unsocialized dogs are often left unleashed in yards, on walks, or become free of their owner's control, which can be extremely dangerous in our community. And I've personally been walking and with my friends or my pet and have felt unsafe. And socialization needs to be started from a young age. Unfortunately, dogs in our community that have not been socialized will obviously not benefit from this. Dog parks are meant from puppyhood, which means future pet owners will have public access to a space where they will be given an opportunity to socialize their pets and meet other local pet owners. Dog parks are an amenity to many communities, and having one would attract more people to Hazen. The area I was interested in talking to you guys about is the Sam Reich Memorial Nursery, which is in that packet. And this area is currently unoccupied and would be a great location for a dog park. And if installed in the correct position, this area could enhance this location and the current trees could have potential for shade. In addition to this location, this area is right along a main pathway. Recently in the paper, there was a discussion about a now 3-way being turned into a 4-way and adding a pedestrian crosswalk on 10th Street and 3rd Avenue. The city's plan to put this project into action will intensify this area or bring attention to it. Currently, the walking path along 10th Street ends at the Sam Reich Memorial Nursery. By putting a community dog park in this area, my hope is that more people will use this walking path. And not only is this location accessible by the walkway, but there's also a cul-de-sac already in place for parking off the main road. Citizens of Hazen are already using this vacant lot as an exercise for their pets to provide, and I think only putting a fence there would make sense. My plan is to speak to local businesses to ask for support and donations, as well as do fundraising for the supplies needed to install the community dog park. I currently have $200 in my Girl Scout account to use for this as well. A team of volunteers will be organized to help the actual installation, which is meant for no other labor costs for the city. My hope is that the City of Hazen and the Hazen Park and Rec Board and the high school egg class would be willing to do the mowing, dog waste station, trash removal, and seating maintenance. I'd like to install seating in each dog park section which would be maintained by the school, which they already maintain all the other bike paths. So, Ben Harvey also had recently installed doggy waste stations along other bike paths. And I talked to him, and he said that the city and the Parks and Rec already, depending on which land it's on, he said that they take care of that. So this project would have no additional cost to the city, and this area is already being mowed and maintained. So I have all those proposals in there, and they have the drawings of that. So, yeah.
What's the size of this? Are you going all the way to the end of,
Um,
the trees
I
on
was
the?
gonna ask and get your guys' opinion on that because I don't know about that part, but
I know the two dog parks in Bismarck, there by Century High School, are
they're like
much less, for a better word, abandoned softball fields.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think ours would be that big considering like our population compared to theirs. So like I was looking up other ones like in smaller communities, like the Dickinson one is only like a half acre.
Well, very nice presentation. Good job on that. I know you're nervous.
Yeah.
You did a great
Public
job.
speaking isn't really my thing.
You did a great job. And there were lots, like I mentioned on the phone, lots of things to consider when it comes to doing something like this. And one of the big ones is future maintenance and maintaining who's gonna, like you said, we're expecting other people to take care of it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great project, but then again, then you get a hand off to, okay, you clean up, you take care of it, you mow it, your liability, whatever. I don't know, there's a lot of things to consider, and one is, today when I looked at, and I'll let you have this, because this is one of the better ones that I saw of rules and talking about the dog parks. This is from Bismarck, but all the communities, Bismarck, Dickinson, Minot, Jamestown, that have them, have similar set of rules. But they're all under the guidelines of the Parks and Rec District. And I would recommend you also go to them. And that's something that we would have to work in conjunction with if we do something like this, because that is the city's land, not Parks land. But you mentioned the school would help take care of.
Yeah, the egg classes already make benches and tables for the other bike paths along kind of by the river.
Yeah, they're maintaining, they're redoing some
They're
of those.
redoing those this year. They just took them out and I think they're installing them this week.
Okay.
And if not, my sister has a silver wood project to do, so kind of want to.
Well, that's something I want to, that's a great segue, but I thought maybe that's something we can talk to the Girl Scout leaders about also, is this something that the Girl Scouts could take care of?
Yeah.
You know, my daughter's a 7th grade Girl Scout, maybe, you know, from them on, we have a group there in line that can continue to do something like that. I think that would work much better than just handing another project off to another group.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, any questions or comments for Jasmine?
I guess when we had talked about the doggy stations along the bike path, you know, we did kind of, I guess, talk about a doggy park too. And, you know, at that time, Darren Munn had talked, you know, by the North Star 2 Park, as a possible next location.
Yeah, I just kind of thought that would be a smaller location because those people's yards kind of go lower than the other area. But
Well, I know between that new ball diamond, there's that tree area between there and it must be Mike Ness's house. Jim Marshall lives there.
Okay.
That's got a lot more mature trees too, but, that'd be another spot to look at. And I'm not sure if that's parks or our land there, but I think it's park, but.
I think Park Board knows
Is
that.
that park?
Yeah, it's parks.
But I don't want to just pass the buck because I want to work with the park board on something like this too, but, I don't know. Any other comments?
I guess
I'm not willing to give a green light tonight without talking to, park board too.
Jasmine talked to me as well. Of course, we're neighbors, but I give her pros and I give her cons. A couple of the cons is segueing into Sarah's ordeal. You've got your rules on here, how are they going to be enforced? And the minute you have an over-aggressive dog come in to a doggy park and vice versa, one dog gets hurt, who's liable? Is the owner's liable, is the city liable?
Well, on every one of these websites I look at, every town says, enter at your own risk type of thing, but where the deep pocket is always the city or the park board. Even though they say you're responsible for your own dog and the city's not responsible, they can always, I guess, anybody can litigation whatever they want, but.
I guess that was my biggest concern. Cause I'm a dog owner too, and, do I leash my dog up? I make everybody else but me leash him up when I let him off to go to the bathroom, cause I can handle him with my voice, but I don't let him roam around either. There's unresponsible owners out there.
Right.
I truly believe that.
I think you're less likely to see the irresponsible pet owner taking their animal to a park like this.
They'll just let them off the door.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's worthy of asking maybe some additional questions of the whoever oversees the dog parks in like the Bismarck area and stuff. See what kind of issues, if any, they ran into when it came to legal type things like that. If a dog bit some other dog and they had to have repairs or a person or any of those type of things, it'd probably be, I'm sure they've crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's on there because they've had it in place for quite some time. Yes, ma'am.
Coming from California, we had a dog park, we have many dog parks, and we had them in Sumples, and the whole natural rule was you're there with your dog, you're responsible for your dog. If your dog, just like Jason said, your dog knows your voice, he will stop instantly. But the whole point is to socialize, and I think that's a great idea.
My dog stopped instantly on my voice too, until there's another aggressive dog around. And then the dog will do what they really want.
Did you have him on a leash?
What's that?
Did you have him on a leash?
In my own yard? No.
Yeah.
So Jerry, what are you thinking our next step is here?
I think the next step is Jasmine needs to talk to the park board.
Okay.
If we're looking at 100 feet by, 100 by 50 or 75, we're talking a couple $1,000 for a fence, and then we got gates and.
But I would wait on you for that. That would not be on any of you guys.
Sure, right. But just so you know upfront what we're looking at for costs, and you've got several gates here.
Just to make it easier for you.
Yeah.
Jerry, I can't remember how big of an area, or Monty, you may know that fence that we've got it for the recycle. How big of an area, Dave, do you know?
I don't remember what.
Oh, that was about 250 by 100, I thought. That was 7,000. Yeah. So it could be upwards of,
Yeah, total 900 feet.
Was it 900 feet?
What about the skate park? Does that thing ever get used?
What's that?
The skate park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Skate park does
I
get
just drove
used.
by it the other day and there was two guys out there skateboarding.
Okay. I
That's,
just wasn't
that,
sure.
that's not a fun area for dogs to be on concrete though.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Sorry.
What is the surface of that dog park up by Century?
Grass.
Grass.
And they all, like the business owner says, no, dogs can't dig holes. It's owner's responsibility to fill in the holes and clean up after them and all that stuff. Yeah. So, I suggest you visit the park board, see what their thoughts are, and come back to us, and we can discuss it more too. I did call Carrington, and try to check on other towns around the state like our size. Watford was the only town that was considering, and they're not gonna do it because of aggressive dogs. They don't wanna deal with aggressive dogs and who police them. But I know like Carrington, Cavalier, Kindred, Harrison, Bowman, that don't have dog parks. That maybe because we're rural and it's easy to get your dog out to an area where they can run, or I don't know. But I've never, I've had dogs since we moved back in 2002, and I've never really myself, it's just me, felt like I needed a dog park for my animals. But that's the right or wrong thing. But so anyhow, any other comments or suggestions for Jasmine?
Great job.
Yeah.
Did she have any kind of like a survey amongst the tenants in town to see,
But
that's a good idea. Just mail a letter to everybody, see if anybody has an interest in this.
You know,
There you go.
I did put it on Facebook, it's easier, not gonna lie. It's much easier.
So, nice job. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Good luck. What's that? Okay. Jasmine, the next park board meeting is June 11th.
I think I'll be gone.
Yeah, girls, my girls sick, but.
Your dad gonna be here? 8A, site authorization, Hazen Winter Sports.
Sure, make me follow somebody that keeps sweet.
So this is for gaming?
Yes, it's the time of year where the charitable gaming licenses need to be renewed for the next 12 months. I have signed agreements with the bar owners from the 4 sites. The next step is we move the city's authorization on them. It's for Fox's Bar, James Lounge, Long Shops, and Bison Bar and Grill.
Okay.
We already conduct gaming at all 4 sites. Just continue doing what we're doing.
Okay. Comments, questions?
Make a motion we approve.
Okay, motion by Pillar.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call.
Pillar. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Overall.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
year.
Yep. 8B, building permit with variance request for Matheson's. I've driven by there a couple times myself, and seen what Harold would like to do.
Currently, they
Yeah.
have a concrete porch out in front of their house.
Yep.
It's 4 feet, no, it's 5 feet. They want to take out the concrete and build something that has a bit of a stoop on it, because when you step out right now, you step right on the step.
Yep.
So they want to take out the concrete and leave it brick on the north side there.
Mhm.
So the new deck will stick out about a foot from there, and then there'll be steps kind of coming towards the driveway.
And the steps are gonna come right down onto their driveway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an egress window there, so they'll kind of come next to that window. The only problem is currently the house is only 18 feet from their property line and should be 20. So now we're gonna encroach on that another 2 feet by the deck being a foot, and the steps will probably come another foot closer to the property line. But since the house is already at only 18, like, the whole street looks like that, so
Yeah.
So now
they
if
were all built.
I remember right on the drawing, it's like 11 feet then from the edge of the bottom step to
To
the sidewalk,
to the property line,
to the property line.
yes.
Not the same.
And then another 15 feet to the street. So
So it's,
There's
so it's
still-
still 26 feet to the street.
Correct.
And then handrails, because, it's kind of a handicap.
And the steps, you know, they won't like take up space. Visually, really, it's just gonna protrude out another foot. So basically, they just need a 2-foot variance.
Okay,
And you said it was still 26 feet? With the porch house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I thought about precedents, you know, because we had rejected one where the steps were coming out towards the sidewalk, but I think we were very, very close to coming out to the sidewalk on the street on that one there, and we just, and there we turned the steps sideways and they were good to go.
And that's how this will
Here,
be
here I'm thinking we're still quite a long distance where you're not impinging on snow removal or any kind of street concerns or anything like that.
I make a motion to approve the application.
okay, we have a motion to approve the variance request by Hack. Second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Demolition permit. Remove the structure,
This is for that trailer house of Josh Peterson's. You coming down from above, there's Napa, and then there's that fourplex apartment building there. It's right on the north side, it's kind of a brown dumpy little trailer
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
That's the one, the lady that was living there had gotten ill and was in the hospital. And eventually the water and the electricity and everything got shut off and it got a lot damaged. And Josh is just gonna cut his losses and, you know where it is? Dan?
Right north of Mark's fourplex.
no,
It's just a little brown.
Yeah.
address the hyper, for instance.
So it's,
Layers, yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So is
Okay,
he
so
gonna,
they wanna,
He's gonna remove the structure,
Okay.
cap everything off, and then eventually, Josh wants to put another building there. But for now, he's just gonna remove everything, smooth it all out, and just prep it for another building in the future.
another building or house?
Yeah.
That's look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so do we need to take any action on this? Do we have to approve the
I
permit?
believe so.
Okay,
Motion approved.
okay, motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Wolf, discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Miller, Stern,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Water sewer,
I don't have anything at this time.
okay. Streets,
Well, the only thing I got, you all received the picture. They pointed this out to me when I drove, it's over by our old, where the tree dump is and the cement, where the ashes go. This is just from last winter's sand that we used on the street.
and there's still a lot of sand on the streets.
Yeah, that's just what we swept up
Yeah.
this spring, and it usually got disposed of on the grass site. I never realized how much there was. It was muddy, so I had them dump it in there. But brought me to the idea that talk to Monty and see how much we spend every year on sand.
And I've got that, Abe, give me that. In 2016, we spent a little over $6,000 in sand. In 2017, we spent $2,400. What Dave would like to do is he's talked to Free, Bill and Grizzly. Free was willing to do it for around $1,500. Basically a sifting type machine to sift this and recycle it and reuse it. Because really all we're using is for traction on the streets.
Instead of discarding all that sand and buying new every year, trying to recycle some of this. I mean, it's just a traction product for the winter.
Yeah.
Summertime, we can still use it for crack sealing.
Yeah.
Sift out the branches, the
The
Dollar
surface,
Saver,
yeah.
the Tribune, yeah,
The leaves,
pop
small
cans,
leaves.
yeah, toys.
I just didn't realize we were spending that much money on sand every year. I just never realized how much we swept, and like I say, that's just mainly the business district from Senex down to Maine and the hub down. Very little residential because of the construction project, I mean, I just kept our sweeping to a minimum, so that's quite a pile of sand.
So if this area gets used for whatever, retail, commercial, whatever, do you have room in the back of the shop to do this?
Yeah, because we could set that up right there by the current new sand pile or whatever, I mean, and it would be a portable unit that we can pick up the loader and move and set anywhere. I mean, it's not a war.
Does it look like one of those things that separates rocks, different size rocks, that you just,
Yep.
the payloader dumps it on and it?
And
Yep.
you would
This will be a
basically
small
build it,
scale for the Bobcat.
yeah,
Okay.
so we could use the Bobcat to dump in, not payloader, we wanna be able to manually move it around.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea to try to recycle and save some money.
I'm making a motion that we go this route and spend $1,500 for this grizzly and recycle our sand, save some money.
Okay, motion by Hack. Second by Stern. Discussion. Well, then the money we save, we can buy some beet juice and lay down on some of our main arteries and try to give that a try this fall.
Or the other
Or whatever
thing-
the product is.
One other thing I've got, and this.
Well, let's see, we got a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Yeah.
Aye.
Stern. Aye. Miller. Wolf.
Aye.
Overall.
Motion carried. You have one more thing or
Yeah,
no?
It's exciting. It really is. You mentioned saving money. We're actually making money for
Yeah.
free.
We're making money.
Dave, do you want to share with the commission the whole metal scrap roll-off idea and what?
Yeah, we filled and sent off, 3 roll-offs already full of scrap metal from cleanup. And Monty gave me the price of the first roll-off he received the check, it was over $800 and some, wasn't it?
We just got another check today for 660 something.
So we have one more check coming, and we got another dumpster that's probably half to 3/4 full.
Is that all from cleanup week?
Yes.
That whiteware and everything?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the only thing we took out to the landfill was air conditioners, refrigerator, anything was free on them.
So should we do more cleanup weeks? Cars, yeah.
So for the little bit of time and effort we got in having that dumpster
Awesome.
there loading them, I mean, it's actually working out well.
Cool. Thank you. Anything else, Jason?
No, that's all I've got.
Finance, busing?
Jerry, hold on. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
My bad.
I talked to Monty, we did it in years past, we hadn't the last couple of years, but we want to do the summer hours, work 6 to 3. Over to head an hour, get off the hot streets and stuff by 3 instead of working until 4. And it always worked good in the past, it was never an issue or whatever, and we want to start right after Memorial Day and stuff, that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, remind me to get my trash can out a little earlier. Then.
Yeah. Monty said he put it on Facebook and on the page that garbage truck would start.
Yeah,
an hour earlier.
it works great. I agree. Any comments on that from the board? Okay. Yeah, go
And
for
the
it.
only other thing I would have is we bought that Sterling dump truck to replace that old International that you rode with me. What the city's intent, what to do with that truck.
The Sterling or the
That old
International.
International. We've been using it up until, a month ago or so. But the brakes are getting so bad and it's not really safe to drive. I parked it way back in the lot.
Yeah.
You know, you should consider maybe putting it up on bids, trying to sell one or do something with it. I guess we're not gonna use it.
Yeah, it's way unsafe now.
That's either
Do you-
stick a
can we even
bunch of
sell
money
it?
in it or.
No.
This would be a good time of year to sell it to some contractors looking for a second-hand truck or something they can kind of fix up. I mean, it does have value.
When's the last time it was DOT certified?
When was what?
Last time it was DOT certified. Okay.
Never.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Well, I don't know why we're gonna sit with something like that. We don't use it, don't need it. What's the best way to put? Can you put on listserv or something more?
According to our ordinance, so we'll have to advertise it in the paper, we'll put it on our webpage and stuff, and see if it gets some bids.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Any parade float? You want to ride the back of that thing? Demolition derby? Yeah.
I could check around with a couple places, see what a truck in that condition is worth. I mean, it's got a strong motor, but I mean, it needs a clutch, it needs suspension work and brakes. I mean,
Well,
you'd be silly to let it go for $5 or $100. I mean, it's.
but you're probably not gonna get 5,000 for it. You know, last year when we were looking at trucks, how many did we look at? You can't.
Make sure you sell it outside of city limits, so it doesn't sit in somebody's yard.
Dave. All right, I'd say we sell it. No. Okay. Anything else?
No, I'm good now.
Okay, all right. Finance, Buster,
Nothing
you're
at
good? Okay, police, fire, forestry?
On the fire, we had what I'll call a dry run in terms of the number of calls for quite some time, but just in the last 2 weeks, they've had 13 runs. So, and that's been a combination of motor vehicle accidents, a couple of rollovers, we had a couple of tractor fires, we had a vehicle on the lake, some pretty interesting ones.
Chicago,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they've been working lately on those type of things and doing some training as well. They did some high angle rescue training over at the Interbase facility here. So they're keeping up on going after strange and different types of rescues. And then I will have a follow-up conversation with Jim regarding dogs.
Yeah, we're just gonna get tough on that, I guess. Yeah. Okay, and Buster's not here this evening. The only thing I have is I'll just mention I've been getting some comments from some citizens about the dust from Interbase, the elevator, and from the school buses. We have citizens that live along Fourth over here that are not happy with the dust, and when it's wet, or they're not happy about the mud either. I've approached Interbase and asked them to clean things up. We have swept extra on that area over there. Interbase doesn't feel like they need to do anything about it. In what they told me, they don't feel like it's their only issue, because I know that the public have talked to me of they only say Interbase. They don't say school buses or elevator, which there's dust from all that. So I don't know, just in case you hear something, I'm not sure what we can do. I've asked Interbase to put down scoria or gravel. Scoria turns to powder, which isn't a good idea, but some gravel. I've offered to sell them some of our crushed product. For our own selves, I guess, if we put some of our crushed product on that road going up to the Riverside Park, you know, as far south as the edge of Interbase, I think that would cover ourselves for our property. But other than that, I don't know if Mr. Cannell is going to do anything with that entire dirt area or the bus company, but anyhow, the one citizen did say he may be calling the health department because he thinks it's a hazard because of all the dust. And so I don't know. Just in case you hear something about it, that's what I've been hearing. And I feel bad when I see the guy's name come up on my phone. I know what he's calling about, and I don't have any real answers for him. So I do like the thought of him putting down that mag chloride, but that's not cheap either, I don't think. It's cheaper than gravel, probably. That's all I have. Comments. 10A DOT grant amendment, ADA improvement.
As I put in the notes, you approved the improvements out at the bus facility. They had the ADA opener on the door. DOT did extend the grant that we're currently under to cover the costs for that. So it's just an update there, basically.
All right, thank you, Monty. 12A spraying quotes.
sent it out to several vendors that we've had contact with in the past. I only received one bid or quote back from Don Belinsky, Spruce It Up. Bid amount went up slightly. He's at $3,150 where he was just $3,000 last year.
Which I remember he was
Several
about
years.
half of the next bid.
Yeah. So I guess if you wish to proceed with him, the only bidder, that motion will be in order.
So moved.
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Wolf.
Aye.
Overall.
Aye, motion carried. Which leads me to, what, do you know when we're gonna start spraying in the alleys?
We're working on the ditches right now.
Okay.
Spread cemetery too.
Yeah, the cemetery's been sprayed already. That's done.
Okay. And who do we have that's can spray?
John and, Ben.
Okay.
If the wind is down tomorrow, I would say John will probably be up tomorrow with spring.
Okay. 12B, propane bids.
We invited local companies, well, invited several companies to submit bids for propane, received 2 of them back, one from Fitter Oil, one from Farmers Union. And we'll proceed to open them now. Propane bid of Fitter Oil for propane from June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019, $1.02 per gallon. $1.02.
I'll sign off.
I know, I want that too.
I want two, but I have electric baseboard, so.
Farmers Union Oil. Submit the following bid for your consideration. Propane, 87 cents per gallon, to be delivered June 1st through May 31st, 2019. 87 cents.
Sharp pencil. Wow. Okay. I need a motion from the board.
Motion to approve 87 cents a gallon from Farmers Union. Second.
Motion by Jason. Second by Dan. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, approval of bills.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion.
Good night.
Good night.
Wait a few more on your desk there.
Good night.
Thanks, fellas. Good night.
All, okay, yeah, motion and a second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Wolf.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.